All right, good day. Thank you very much for joining us. This is a special interview. This segment, as you know, is where we bring on our erudite guests and listen to their takes on whatever subject we have for the day. Today on the show, as advertised and as promised, we bring you Kofi Koranteng. Kofi is a 2024 presidential candidate and a man who has a lot to say and to offer when it comes to the development of our beloved nation, Ghana. Kofi is no stranger to this platform at all. In fact, I think this is about the third or fourth time he'll be appearing on this platform. But as we approach the first 100 days of the Mahama government, Kofi, as a presidential candidate, obviously had a plan if he had been voted president. So he must have an idea, or he must have a say, about how the nation is headed right now. Help me welcome to iCulture TV, Radio Culture, Kofi Koranteng. Kofi Akwaba.
Chrissy, good to see you again. You look like you're doing well. 2025, uh, you have started on a good note, and we pray to God that it continues with you and all your listeners. It's good to be here, and I'm happy to see you that you doing well, brother.
Nice, good to see you. The line is a bit choppy. I'm not sure what exactly is going on. I don't know if it's also because you have two different cameras trained on you at the moment.
I do.
Yes, I see you twice in the green room.
Now, are you with the?
All right, don't worry about it. I can take care of it from here. Let me take care of it
Let
from
me
here.
know because so that because are you? Is it Zoom or is it?
Okay, can you hear me?
Hello, can you?
Much better. Much better. Looks like
Okay.
we're getting feedback from the second feed.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
we got out
Now
into
it's
the
good.
green room.
Now it's
Yes,
nice and
yes, yes.
clean.
All right. Kofi, Enti Akwaba Bio, that's it. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Now, what has been the story since the elections? We have seen you still very active. You haven't slowed down. How have things been?
Oh, set oh Maya, you don't slow down. Listen, I,
Mm,
I wish I could walk away from all of this, but I can't. It's in my blood. It's etched in my DNA now. Um, so it's painful. It's painful to see what's happening, to see everything else that's going on all over the world, and to uh, have to deal with the realization of the ridiculous failures of the people we have committed this country to with a huge fiduciary responsibility. It's disappointing to say the
mm.
least. So
Interesting. We'll get into the nitty gritty of that. But before that, Nkofi, you lived in the United States for a very long time, and there's one thing I would like you to address for us before we go back home to talk. The government in place currently, has policies that seem to put a lot of fear in some of our brothers and sisters when it comes to immigration. Yeah, they put a lot of people on edge. How do you read that? What do you see from what you said?
well, to tell the truth, my attitude is "Ukromu yanka, uni obi manso."
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? So this is for the leaders to sit up. Listen, if you take a look at the countries that have been red listed and all the color coding to give an impression that there's something wrong with the immigration process or these are people you can't trust.
hmm
It gives you an indication of people they respect. And right now, we're not one of them because the last time I checked, there were about 7,400 Ghanaians who are enlisted to be sent back home. And that's heartbreaking because most of them are hardworking people. I can't say maybe some, a handful of them may not have issues, to be honest. But Ghanaians generally are great human beings who, wherever they go, they make a good statement. They're hard workers. They keep to themselves. If they could get their little bread and butter, take care of family back home, they're good. But uh, with this new administration, say, listen, if something is not kosher, go back home. Now, most people who are in America are not in America or have not left Ghana because of a choice of theirs. They have left because of a hardship in an attempt to make ends meet back home. So it just goes to say that what's the excuse? We have everything, but then we can't secure good leadership. So uh, we by default end up at the bottom of the social ladder, and everybody tramples on us like
mm,
uh, there's no tomorrow, and it's painful.
mm. Okay, so it all boils back down to governance, which is
That's
your
all there is to it.
forte right now, especially from at least the last 16 or so years coming. You have been very active on the political scene in Ghana. Let's bring it home to Ghana right now. Kofi, first 100 days of the John Dramani Mahama administration, what do you see from where you sit?
Well, listen, and to tell the truth, one of the reasons why I haven't been very vocal um, with this administration is because of the fact that I thought it would be fair because Mr. Mahama has been voted uh, to the presidency, and I think out of respect and regard and consideration, I think every Ghanaian, uh, whoever, whatever your party is, we accept and we support. And for the best of us, we need to contribute to make this government work.
Mm.
But the problem, Kwesi, is if you are on the wrong route, you can never get to your destination, right or right.
Right, for the most part.
I don't know for the most part, for all the time. If if you go into Tamale and you're heading into the sea, into the Atlantic, I don't think you would ever there will ever
Well,
be a point.
everybody knows Tamale is in the north, so to speak. But you
Uh,
could be heading south to go north sometimes, which is why I said for the most part.
which will not make sense to me on the backdrop of 760 billion cities.
Mm.
Okay, if you were prudent, then going south and then heading north means more money, and for anyone who's prudent, that would not be an option. So I just want to get that.
Let's put some flesh on the bone. What exactly are you talking about? Let's understand.
Well, there are a couple of things that if we need to, you see, good governance is not it's not rocket science.
Hmm.
So many people have done it, and the blueprints are all over the place. If you want a country, I mean, if you want a country that you want to maybe pull a couple of pages out of to use as a barometer to guide you, there are so many of them. And what that which needs to be done in Ghana, it's it's not it's not magic. It's
Hmm.
simple stuff. So what I'm saying is how you figure out where we're going is to ask yourself how we got here in the first place. If you figure out how we got here and the attempt is to undo the things that we did to get here, then you could say that we're on the right path.
Hmm.
But if we have ignored the things that we did to get us in this hole and we're charting a different path, then we're sticking our heads in the sand,
Hmm.
acting like we don't have these problems, and we
I,
do.
I hear you, Kofi, but I need more flesh on the bone.
Okay,
If maybe we should zero in on some particular,
okay.
because now generally we're talking about direction. As far
No,
as I'm concerned, the John Mahama administration has a very markedly different approach to governance than the government that just went by. So if we can zero in there, maybe we can see exactly, and you being a presidential candidate, most, likely to be president sometime, who knows, you must have an idea of the minutiae of, things that you think
mhm.
we should be looking at.
All right. Well, let me make it simple.
Mhm.
Um, different philosophies don't matter if it doesn't give result.
Mhm.
There is a very specific result that Ghanaians need to be able to live a decent life.
Mhm.
So to that regard, I don't care what your formula is. If you don't bring home the bacon, I don't care what you're doing. It's no good. It's a failure. And we don't have time to be going back and forth in an attempt to reconsider positions. And no, we don't have time. We are, if we were a patient, which in fact we are, Ghana, we are in the uh, intensive care unit.
Hmm.
We get ready to straight line. And the reason why I say that is a couple of things. My The five things that I proposed if I became president, simple. And I don't think anybody can fix the problems of Ghana. And I want you to listen to this very carefully and attentively because I have said this and it's never going to change, at least not for now and in the very near future, if you don't do these five things. And the five things are: number one, we need to change the defective constitution.
Hmm.
Number one, you don't put together a committee to go and sit, talk, dance, kiss each other on it to come out with some reviews. We already have the reviews. The Atta Mills put together a commission that gave us pretty much what needed to be changed with that constitution. So
Hmm.
there's no need to put together another committee to do that. Number one. Number two, we need to institute a national development plan for the
Hmm.
next 50 years. You see, the reason everybody's talking about China now, the reason why everybody's talking about China now, because when they came out of the century of um, uh, 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 humiliation, they made a decision that for the next 100 years, we're going to go a specific direction in developing themselves. And they have, and we've seen the results now. Nobody could touch them, right?
Hmm.
So if we don't put together a national development plan and say, etch it, make it mandatory in the constitution that whoever comes becomes president, this is the path that you need to follow to make sure there are certain things that comes due for Ghanaians. It's not going to apply. It's not going to change. So that's number two. Number three, we need to eradicate corruption. I don't know if you've been paying attention lately, but if you have, then you would know the most ridiculous corruption scandals hitting us at the very high level. Cocaine on planes, 1,130 or 1,300.
Okay. You're not gonna perpetrate that, are you? The cocaine on planes thing? I
Well,
thought even
this,
those who started that are
okay,
backtracking from that.
let me just say this though.
Hmm.
You will never hear such a thing in Saudi Arabia or the UAE or Singapore. I
Mm.
wonder why.
No, I think, well, I mean, if by that you mean that you would not have somebody getting up and throwing out spurious allegations, that's
Listen,
another discussion to have. But
yeah,
if
but
you're
my
talking
point
about
is, listen,
actual cocaine deals going on, that's also a different discussion to have.
yeah, but, Chrissy, my
Hmm.
point is this. I don't even know the facts about this, but
Hmm.
the fact that it's a conversation in our arena of governance, it's problematic.
I agree with you, except
That's,
that I think
that's
it is a discussion that goes beyond drug trafficking. It's a
yeah,
discussion that goes to false news dissemination. But that's a discussion. I
okay,
want to hear all five.
so
So,
that's another thing. So
mhm,
how did we get here? We
great
got
one.
here
Great
because
question.
society has demoralized to a point where now it's the funeral Olympics. I don't know if you're paying attention. Anywhere you see a funeral, it's like, oh wow, it's a big celebration, and to a whole different level where all the rich people in the country are taking part. Their pictures taken. It's. I mean, what is that? What
It's
is?
not just funerals, though. I think it's a misfortune Olympics, if you ask me.
Thank
Because when
you.
the fire burned at Kejetia also, that was an opportunity for people to just show themselves.
So this,
Very nauseating.
degradation of our morals and ethics. Where did that come from? It came from no leadership. No leadership. You see? And this is my point exactly. My point is if you don't have leadership, anything goes. You could throw anything at the wall and it sticks.
Mm-hmm.
I could be as ridiculous as possible. And hey, because we don't have a leadership. So Kofi could be as ridiculous. You have uh, the minority accusing the majority for this, majority accusing.
So, Kofi,
Hey,
if
we're
you were a
also
leader, right? Let's say you were president and you had in Team Fojo type person alleging things that impugned on the integrity of your government, and not only your government, but also the very nation that you govern. In the sense that once we have a situation where we have a tag of being a drug nation, it goes a very long way. What would you have done as president?
it will never happen in a million years. Not under
What do
Kofi
you mean?
Koranteng. See, let me tell you what the problem is, and then I go back to my
To
five.
the five, yes, because I really want to hear all five.
The problem is the MPP and the NDC, they know each other's playbooks. They have played this game for more than 32 years and they know each other. They know what they do. So you see, it doesn't matter who tells the truth or who lies, it has no value. The same people, everybody pointing fingers, how come there hasn't been an arrest? If somebody can make an accusation at that level and the person is still walking around and everybody pointing fingers saying, hey, listen, we in a democracy, nonsense, we in this and that, spewing garbage. And this is a country. We have a president. Oh no, not under Kofi Koranteng wouldn't happen. See, the first thing is, let me tell you, if Kofi Koranteng were president, the things that I would do in the first 24 hours of my presidency will set the standard.
Like what?
Unfortunately, I can't tell you because
Or else you would have to kill me, wouldn't you?
oh,
Just joking.
it's that serious.
Mhm.
Because you see, you have a non-performing parliament. I would have shut this parliament down. We need to reorganize a lot of things.
But Kofi, you only have limited power as president. You have to remember that.
Oh yeah, but it's in the constitution. Listen, I
Those
don't
things that
just
you're keeping secret from me right now
no
are
no.
things that are
Listen,
encrusted somewhere in the constitution.
it's in the constitution.
Hmm.
As president, you could shut parliament down. That there is a route to go to make that happen. But what are they doing now except for bickering? Come on.
Kofi, I'm sure you also know that a lot of the president's business would have to be done in collaboration with government. With parliament.
Absolutely. And
If you have a body language towards government like that, do you think you would do well as president?
well, first of all, there is no parliament if it's not an effective parliament. This parliament, they're not good for anything. What
You
have
mean
they
the whole
done?
entire parliament?
Tell me what they've done. Listen,
Oh,
maybe
they've done away with e-levy. They've done away with the COVID tax. They've done away with some things now, which
so.
is what I really want us to get to, to zero
Okay,
in on.
so good. Fair enough, Mr. Mahama. That was a promise, and he's done that, right?
Mhm.
But how does that change the bottom line? Tell me.
It does a lot because people,
It does?
yes. Kofi, listen, you would be. Let me say, I'm a kaya you, right? Something like that. In
What
Accra.
a sad place to start.
No. I'm saying because I want to speak from a spectrum, from a point where it will like cover a lot of spectrum,
Mhm,
right? Because things like that don't affect certain people.
mhm.
COVID tax, betting tax, they don't affect certain people. So
My
of course
point
you don't expect.
exactly.
Yes, but I'm saying if I had to send money from Kumasi as somebody who's struggling to make some money, I want to send it to to my mother in Kintampo, someplace like that, right? I
Mhm.
send the money, I'm taxed. when my mother is taking the money, she's taxed and all of that. So if somebody's sending 100 cedis, by the time the money gets to the recipient, it's about 80 cedis or so, maybe less. Now, that extra money is going back to the people. That makes an impact. Let me tell you one more thing, Kofi, before you continue. This is not my interview, it's your interview. But let's consider this, though. We have the tax burden shifting from the citizenry onto other firms like mining corporations, who, by the way, should be paying a whole lot more. Isn't that something that impresses you a little bit?
Okay, so a couple of things. So let me be graphic so that you can understand. Zero of nothing is still nothing.
I agree.
Okay, so the bad deals that have been written with these mining companies should not even be on the books as we speak. It will not be under my presidency. Because
we'll talk about mining, so don't say too much about mining. I have a segment to talk with you about mining. Okay,
everything I start talking.
Don't give us all the apple right now.
So let me go back to Kayaye and the E-levy.
Yes.
Should that have happened in the first place? Yes or no?
No.
Okay. So you see the nonsense that I can't stand and I can't deal with. So plus 2 minus 2 is what?
Back to square one.
Okay. So now you coming in here tell me, oh, Kofi, they did something. What they do? They took a step forward, a step backwards, and
no, Kofi. What you are getting wrong is that it's not this government. We are examining the Mahama government.
Who cares? Get it? Because listen to me. They were both. No. Listen to me. They were both in parliament for crying out loud.
No.
There's no. Oh my God, Kwasi. There is no good of a minority if they can't fight for the people in parliament. Where
let's forget about parliament for a bit. Let's look at the government.
So then there's
no. I'm saying because the taxes were imposed by the government, by the Akufo-Addo government, with the backing of its majority in parliament. We also what happened. The impersonation in parliament and all that, the private jet flying. We also saw all of that. So how do you blame that on the Mahama government who's trying to repeal that? How? What's the logic in that?
Hold up. Do you know that E-levy was approved without the NDC?
The input of the NDC, yes.
Yeah. Do you know that?
Yes.
Okay. So my point is, if you are impotent in parliament, then what good are you?
Who made them impotent? The public. The voting public made them impotent.
Thank you.
That same voting public has made them viral as heck.
You have fallen right in the spot that I want you. Now,
let's go.
You know why that is so? It is so because of the Constitution. The Constitution that apparently MPP takes advantage of when they're in power just as much as the NDC takes advantage of, because they've all had turns and they know this constitution is a defective constitution, but nobody changes it. So if you don't change something, you know it's wrong, and then you come back to say, hey, just because of this document I wasn't able to represent the people, so give me a break, bring me into power for me to come really fight for you.
Kofi, don't you think your ideas are a bit utopian? Don't you think so?
No, it's common sense, my brother.
It is common sense, but I think you're overlooking the fact that not everybody has common sense.
Why are you in government if you don't have common
sense? No, I'm not talking about people in government, which is a fact. Some people in government do not show any presence of common sense, but that's not who I'm talking about. I'm talking about the people who put those people there in the first place.
But this is guess who's responsible? It's the. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's go back a little bit. Look at what China is doing right now. You know what China is doing? Investing in their people, developing in their people. If China had not invested and developed their people, they will not be taking over the world now. Now, when you develop your people and you position your people, then and they make money, you could come back and tax them because you have given them the platform and the infrastructure for growth. So you justified in taking something from them.
Okay. All right, Kofi, let's go back. Let's go back. Constitution, the National Development Plan, corruption.
Eradicate corruption.
Fourth point.
Reduce government by 73% minimum.
Reduce government.
Make it effective, efficient, and effective. And then in, invest $10 billion into agriculture every year for the next 10 years in a drone controlled mechanized farming to make Ghana the agricultural hub of the world, not of West Africa, not of Africa, of the world.
Great.
Now,
Okay.
even we shooting for the sky, even if we landed on the moon and made Ghana the agricultural hub of West Africa, guess what? It would be hundreds of billions of dollars, in my conservative estimation, actually bordering trillion,
Mm-hmm.
because the whole Africa imports 60% of its food. That's enough to make everybody cry when you have the most fertile of lands, the most arable lands, and you import not it should, you know. So when I see these people go to parliament, they don't even understand scale, because they haven't even brought in scalability in parliament. They don't even understand the concept.
Hmm. All
Because
right. Mm-hmm.
anyway,
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, because we keep adding more jurisdictions to Ghana. We went from 10.
I do not know the rationale behind that, to be honest with you. But anyhow,
But now you get it?
I mean, some are attributing it to gerrymandering and whatnot. I do not
Yeah,
see the point
but see,
at all.
you have a pot, a plate, you have one bowl of kinky.
Mm-hmm.
What 10 plates? Now we check kinky no mu 10 a. Kinky na and also. The same bowl of kinky.
Mm-hmm.
Ti sika a wode tɔ plates no, ade na womfa ntɔ kinky mum.
And
Na
come on.
engu plate
Then
ba.
you're more kinky.
Enye nyansa.
Nyansa.
Oh, wow.
Basic nyansa. But you see, this is what I'm saying. And you'll be under what's nyansa. No, that's what we have to address.
275 parliamentarians,
Kofi,
the whole executive.
when we say, I think say I don't know, but I think say
I don't know.
you are not looking at the intricacies of politics, what I call politics, in all of it, right? Because there's also deep embedded tribalism in our politics. There's
In fact,
deeply embedded
Masa,
partyism, if you will.
no, but
You know,
because listen, Kwesi, listen to me.
Kofi, quickly, Nayan call five,
Go ahead.
please.
Okay, go ahead.
Mhm.
So
No,
we
no,
got
no, quick,
five.
your point, quick.
We
Nayan,
got the five. What I'm
points.
saying is if
Mhm.
Mahama does not, number one, fix the problem of corruption,
Mm-hmm.
there is no way. Because listen, it's not about getting a bigger bucket, because there's still a leak.
In that bucket, corruption is one of the things on the list. So let's go now and examine the five things, the five areas you mentioned, no, one after the other, and tell me where you see John Mahama's government heading as far as those pointers are concerned. Because if you ask me, really, most of the points you raised, no, I think we can find it in the NDC manifesto in some form or the other, also, right? So let's look at
In
the
the previous one or the current one,
current one.
because it wasn't a previous two. So what's your point?
The point I'm making is that when we take them one by one, we can still look at how the government has performed in those areas, because it was also in their manifesto say they were going to do some of these things.
In all their manifestos, it's been in. So tell me.
So okay, so let's examine it. That's what we're here for, right? And I'm not the one to do the talking. You are the expert. You are the one who ran for president. I've never had that opportunity.
Atamil set up a commission to
Mhm.
change the commission to bring forth.
We're tackling the first point, right?
We did that. So you want to?
Constitution.
Okay, so let's move on to the
No,
next.
no. I'm saying, say, no, no.
No, just also didn't go through until I just want to
Yes,
go
it's
through.
against starting. But person who say I started with the
Okay,
constitution.
so let's start. Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
Article 71, ex gratia. Listen, we need to be, if we have to be a government that has a people that have a chance in catching up, there's just way too much waste in our system.
Okay.
And it points to the fact that we don't have a government that has the mental capacity. Have
So,
the
so,
mental
so, so
capacity.
Kofi, let's look at it like this. You've mentioned, said, Professor Mills, right? Started that
The,
whole,
the Constitution Review
yes,
Committee
I've heard
and the
John
document
Mahama.
is there.
Mhm. No, I'm just saying, sir, I've heard John Mahama speak many times about that. I
Mhm.
think it's one of the things that they have said to do.
And they've put
Mhm.
the commission together. What I'm saying is there was no need for a commission because the recommendations are there. There's
Kofi,
no need for.
we have recommendations which I don't think the whole nation has signed on to,
Ah,
right? NPP is invited to an economic forum and they straight up boycott. Not the first time, they've done that several times. It just appears.
economic forum.
Mm-hmm.
Moko economic forum makoye den. Catch me. Then I'm okay. There, more pay
Mhm.
wasted. More inti. Kwesi, tell me.
Mhm.
Are you telling me honestly, say Ghana from Penifo a Nimbia, Ghana Peja economically?
Omunim, but they have differences, which is why the forum may be important. Because
Who
what's it
cares about
let me
it?
see any say. What's
You
see
are
any
the
say?
freaking government for real. You are the president. Oh, Chemo Biano, why
Is
I
it wrong for a government to seek the opinion of
oh, Massa.
to seek
Yeah,
consensus
you
before
no
they act? Is it wrong?
Kwesi, before you bro, because we just don't understand. I didn't know this is so simple. Nipa na pa hoto. Well, say right now, so listen, if I were to say right now that I'm giving my daughter medication for a cold and it's bitter and I say, hey, listen, do you like this medication? Would you like to take it now or would you like to take it later? She's gonna say she'll take it later, and later will never come. And so you cannot do something that would ultimately benefit someone and think that you need to be in a total agreement with that person before you do it, especially when you're a government. That's why you were brought into
But don't you
power.
think, say, at least the optics is important? Say the government to be sure, say,
And
you
no
see
problem.
massive. Because
And
let me show you, let me draw your attention to something, Kofi. If you've noticed that, I think, say, the NDC was able to gain confidence from Ghanaians, showing in the numbers that they got because of the approach to campaigning.
no
They
problem.
went to the people and they listened to them. And
No
the manifesto was based on the thing the people said they wanted.
You see, everybody talks about that, but they don't look at the numbers. Nipa eto Abama MPP in 2020, 2020, no. Woman, one to Abama, the numbers did not change. So, what point are you making? Say, Anka,
How is that even possible? You see, this is how we befuddle the whole discussion. How is it? Say nipa omo toma omo no mo ano mo sign toma no.
the point I'm making,
It's not where did the
the
extra people
number,
come from to vote for John Mahama?
the number of people, almost tomorrow, inti,
Mhm.
there were obviously some people who were not happy, and there were some people who were happy, but give and take, it's about the same number. My point is, if it were an overwhelming nod, it would come with a certain number of MPP people, or it would surpass.
Not necessarily. Kofi, let's start from here. Are you telling me, say you first of all, you
But
trusted
okay,
the
so
electoral process
listen, I'm
of
not going to go over
2020?
because
No. I need an answer from
it
you
doesn't
from
make
that before we
it doesn't make
continue.
a damn difference to the bottom line. We gave him
It does.
no. Listen to me. We gave him an unprecedented nod. Good. What has he done with it?
In 100 days. That's what we're looking at.
Yeah, but in 100 days, my point is, has he? I'm not convinced about where we are in terms of corruption. MDC4, MPP4,
I didn't try. I didn't try.
well, because
What jumping from constitution to corruption? I'm so corruption in here, pa. But let's
because
go step by step.
well, the reason why
Mhm.
corruption in here is because the constitution in a document allow for and get away with it.
Mm.
So I say,
Mhm.
so there is so much money hemorrhaging from the economic basket that till we fix the problem of corruption, which apparently the constitution has keys to, there's no way we're going to be able to get our house back in order. And that's why
And let's zero in on the Mahama government. You don't see them doing anything to check
Masa, I don't
corruption.
care about the anything. I want results.
But how do you get results without
Kwesi, Kwesi,
Kofi, how do you get results without doing anything? You have to start from somewhere. You have to do something.
okay, wherever he wants to start, let him start. But when you have gotten the results, call me into the room.
Okay. All right. So
I'm
you
not,
can
listen.
Mhm.
I'm not moved by the, all the ruckus.
What do you want to see? What do you want to see that will convince you that something is being done
As I
about
said, Anka, by
corruption?
now, yachi MPP for P. One more course, the meltdown, it will be 760
But
billion.
it's a process, Kofi. The same thing now, you feel more banana for your mom pet at the frontier. The judge to Japan, you just one, you just again, then you be yeah, constitutional
Let
government,
me
you know.
ask you this. What can I
Mhm.
say? Lee Kuan Yew was saying now where Singapore Anka. Who between catch and say it's a process.
Because the people of Singapore had agreed to that system of governance.
Uh-huh.
So they would go with that.
Into the
Ghana no, almost is saying you be idea no. Yeah,
into
they back court, and the say. So you have to find a way to deal with that.
into the American say a
Mhm.
constitution no and I need a lay down procedure a womb and
Yes,
until we go
yes. I
through a
think we agree on that.
and until you go through a process a cumbersome.
Mhm.
We shooting ourselves in the foot because and the Akobana said the same people almost pointing fingers, almost complaining, say, no, we are discuss, we are you say, no. They're benefiting from the same process. So, into the me catch no, me be prophecy. So me die nyame catch him say at the end of 4 years, no, and soon ye be a ma because MPP for no nam Ghana parties chile.
But Kofi, within 100 days, I don't think so. You can rally. I guess I bet created so much turmoil in the country with that. Even Mama, good example. Even with something as blatant as somebody putting out spurious allegations about cocaine and all of that, no,
They say,
was invited to go and
Yacheno,
cooperate.
Yacheno.
And no, you see that the resistance that came when they were
And I
detecting
make us say,
one person.
how can you have a resistance to somebody who spews so much garbage? How can you have a resistance? How can you have a resistance? Say, Obia can sema enya no kre.
Mhm.
On to me improve. So ni prove no to me improve. A government official at that level who to me can say ya. Masa, the almost kind of say as I said, you send a letter, comma speaker, they go through
Yeah,
process after process.
yeah.
Yeah,
Which I
but
think is one of the things that has to be changed in the constitution.
it's their own way of buffering the system till a point where it has absolutely no teeth.
Hmm.
They all know, they all benefit from the question. Do you what here Ghana politics? A concept all day. Me say enkosi because Obia you sue the card against ne nyɔnko nti wo na wobɔ a wosi o meyɛ referee nɛ oh wei ɛkɔ out ɛyɛ foul nso yɛnyɛ because mo last time no mo anyɛ ne
Well, if you ask me, we've seen some pretty heavy signs that something is going to be done. We've seen Ken Foriata being, invited. We've seen certain people have their houses
Ofurata
visited
first
and all that.
and let me also share this with you.
Mhm.
Why do you raid Ken Ofurata's house? Why do you raid Ken Ofurata's house? Mo yɛ a
I
government
guess,
in
I guess
power.
for the same reason why other people's houses get raided, Abi. Ken
The
Foriata is not different.
Ken Ofurata ɛnyɛ ɛyi drug kingpin.
Oh, but they don't raid for just drugs. So,
Oh, masa. Moyɛ government in power.
Mhm.
Wopia Kenofurata sɛ ɔmmra na question na you invite him. Simple.
Kofi, he had been invited. To the best of my knowledge, from the reports we were receiving, he had been invited. He was out of the country. He was not responding positively until that happened, and they all that. I'm not defending or I'm not a prosecutor. I don't know how all those
See,
things work.
because a president
Saying,
has been Tio,
mhm.
you don't seem to get what I'm saying and to get into the consciousness of the way I think.
Mm.
When you set a precedent, obia abuse. Maybe your president, may say first 24 hours, who bedding. You invite to say Brano, wouldn't know baby. First of all, I don't know two coin. And yet government controlled airport we are no for the two coin. Otu went to Quine in December, Otu Quine after your friend saying, your inaugurative president. I don't know, man, quite no two quine. As a sanka, MPP for now, yes, easy woman now passports. MPP for at 1 year in government. More what some type of a UB said they could be implicated in some crime. No, as
They
a sanka,
have to be implicated first, don't they?
huh?
Because without that, how on what basis do you seize their passport?
Let me say, na na of na sikaira na muna you are the party, your back crime scene. Now you say oh, maybe. Now, listen to the question to you. The
This
two
is Kofi.
political parties need now are crime scenes. So, until we came to a crime scene, we know say Sikabia, you nim nipa of Sikano. You best swim now, back. Now, one by one, you eliminate Obia elimination, any friend elimination process. That's all.
Who you
It's
free and you jail.
Masa Uba now might make you statements. Now, who testify say masa wo deɛ one first bia wo party na se na wo deɛ wonnum twamo they say yes red na aba iti yes
I was just drinking water, officer.
they say party na se wo deɛ one miamia red ni bi nti wo deɛ wonka ho nti na ya test blood ne
That's a free anymore.
now you clear yes say wo call next person akotwim say you go akodu Kerefurata so you be do Kerefurata na on there
That's how I said
one red best tell him. I say, brah. Simple.
Kofi,
So,
your time will call. May I come through 5 quickly because I also have that mining thing that I want to discuss with you real quick because a major issue, Galamsey, one of the key issues for me. And last time I'm in Okasa and we spoke about that. I want to play back what you said and then we will re-examine it again. But to say I cut through most of it. National Development Plan. Also, I think said the NDC has something like that in the offing, which was
there is a National Development Plan, and in fact, there is a National Development Plan Commission.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is, any mandatory. Upa na uti, upa unti. Insu inkrofo wo ha ye yi wo commission so aye tua omo kanya sabe na wo. Catch them.
How would you approach that? How would you do it?
Ubegu commission no what's a national development plan for the next 50 years and tell them say put in a constitution but your friends say referendum say from this point forward no national development plan no mandatory and no
you will have to get all of that with the help of same parliament now also by shutting it down until you're moving on because for the sake of time. Me too.
Oh, because where your referendum, it doesn't go through parliament for them to have a chance to decide on whether or not to pass it.
No, it doesn't. But if you watch, you're losing sight of say parliamentarians, so they have a hold on their people. They have the micro of all the politicking that goes on. Your president out here cry and order referendum. These people on the ground, the assemblymen and so on. No, those are the people who do that for work.
Let me tell you why I disagree with that. First of all, no, say meba bemwa nipa na womu eto to your friend saying legislators no I would say they have control over their people no woman to abama me say memra it's with the understanding and the agreement say Kofi so we having you come in to do the things that we like. So it would make sense to me, and you couldn't possibly stand on an argument say they're gonna vote for you to come in, but yet they're not gonna vote yes on a referendum.
Nyansa and Kwame Dibumaya, Kwame Nkrumah would never have been removed. Let me just say that, and let's move on to the other point. God and Womu, there was some normally other things as a politician you should also consider.
We're not debating that too. You're debating on Nyoma a simpler.
I'm on betting. Yeah. All right. Into corruption, I think you've touched on corruption, a good amount. Reduce government. It's obvious. John Mahama has done that. Don't you agree?
News there, I mean,
I didn't mean. I met it.
Okay, so Mr. Mahama promises how many ministers?
60 or so.
So how many does he have now?
The last time I checked, he was approaching 60.
Okay, good. So he didn't, as far as I'm concerned, he hasn't crossed the 60 mark
Mm-mm.
yet.
Not
But
that
when
I know
he
of.
has done, and the reason why, you see, a minister becomes a problem for the people is because of a liability.
Mhm.
Liability in a form of emoluments. That is so.
Culture. Culture.
Mhm.
So if you can say, Akwawe, my father said garden boy, but I'm going to give them Article 71 and ex gratia. Now all of a sudden they are like a minister. Pacho, do you understand what I'm saying?
I can understand what you're saying, but I would want to know if that is what's happening. Otherwise,
Of
it's
course, of
inconsequential to the
course, of
discussion.
course, of course. Go back. I don't have the list here for me to read. I'm going to put it together, um, maybe tomorrow,
Mhm.
Saturday, because what he has done is he's giving a lot of appointments to people who have the same pay grade as ministers.
Really?
Oh yeah. So if you count that as that many people who are not ministers but they are presidential staffers, it works out that
And
they
by
will
pay
pay.
grade, you also mean all the other perks that come with it, because it's not
Absolutely.
just the pay; it's a whole lot of it is the perks, really.
So they are either deputy ministers or ministers. So by title, they're not ministers. So yes, if you don't know what's going on, you will be fooled by the fact that Mr. Mahama has less than 60 ministers.
I would like to see proof of that. If you have the document, please share it.
I would share. It was discussed in Parliament.
Oh, no, 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 no! Please don't bring what Afenyo Markin said, please, Kofi.
No, no, no. It's not Fenyo. It's not
Okay,
Fenyo.
all right, okay.
It's
Because
not Fenyo.
again,
But
I didn't hear everything. If it was that reference that Afenyo Markin made,
no, it
that's the
wasn't.
kind of clowning that we don't want in our parliament, Kofi.
But you see, but this is
Parliament is a
another thing.
house of record. People should
But
speak
but
with
but,
facts in parliament.
but see, this is another thing. This is another thing that I have a problem with. And if I were president, that would change in a heartbeat. The
Mm.
kind of clowning that goes on in Parliament,
Yes,
it nauseates me.
it is.
It's so upsetting. I can't
Tomfoolery. Let's
watch.
call it what
You
it is.
see,
It's just nauseating.
you know, when I watch them, I'm like, man, I will lash these. I will seriously lash them. I'm serious because it's so. What is this? What is this? A
Hmm.
game of your friend saying, "I'm pay near Parliament." I mean, seriously, you jamuka all this money, go there and perform on the
Members
world
of
stage,
parliament overturning
and then you go
tables
there
and
and you
all these
sit
things.
and
Like,
you
what's going
clown,
on?
clown. No be a kabibi, no be a sre. Hey. What? Not in my parliament. I'm
I mean,
serious.
I don't think you would have so much power over the parliament anyway. You would just
Oh, yeah,
criticize them.
listen, if anybody had said to all of us in Africa that Burkina Faso,
Mhm.
there'll be a time where somebody's going to emerge and they're going to kick the French out. Everybody say, "Hey, brah, who didn't?"
Yeah, I
It
agree
will
with you.
never happen.
I agree with you. But he had to do that with through a different method anyway. And the people have
Method
signed
bi
on to it. That's the
asa
difference.
method
That's
bi
the
a ɛwɔ hɔ
difference.
no, yɛbɛyɛ na yɛyie because
Hopefully,
yɛyie.
the people will sign on to it. And yes, Adia, you have a very hard time. But
Yeah,
let's move on. So the last point there before we go to the special president Bibisano, you're going to invest 10 billion cedis in agriculture. I think the government,
10 billion
Muhammad's government,
dollars, $10 billion, not see.
dollars that is, yes, in agriculture, right? I think said the Muhammad government is doing something along those lines. I don't know how much they're investing.
Wetuaka, Mahama Tuaka na.
No, no, no. We're examining what they are doing. And I'm asking you, what have you seen them do in that direction?
Oba
You
last
know,
time,
me.
last time, no,
Kofi,
they talk.
make one quick thing before we continue, please. When we say we don't want to thrive on cynicism, it doesn't help, right? If
And
I
that's
see John Mahama doing anything that's detrimental, I will be the first, right?
my point
But
is,
that perpetual cynicism, no, it's not good for nation building. Which
no,
is
no,
why
no,
I
it's not.
invited
But the point,
you, an erudite person like you, to help me look at if we are on the right path.
but Kwesi,
What you're helping me do is to form an opinion.
What
Mhm,
I'm saying is, it's plain and simple.
mhm.
Yeah, for things to be done, this is a science. You just don't wake up one day and say, oh, you're going to do this. Planning has to start. There is an a whole array of things that needs to be in place for things to happen.
Yes.
You don't just get up one day and say you are going to invest $10 billion into agriculture, and no,
Mm-hmm.
you have to start training people. Even junior high school curriculums at that level has to change. Senior
Yes.
high school curriculums have to change. You need to start incenting and supplementing schools for teaching agriculture. These STEM projects we need to buff it up to a whole different level, because when the program starts at the agricultural level, you need to have a constant inflow of the beginning of the spectrum to make sure it works.
Mm-hmm.
So this is not something you could wake up one day to start. So what I'm asking you is, if the first step has not gone in place, you cannot tell me that maybe he has an idea for the final product, because I haven't seen the first step yet. That's the point I'm making to you.
Okay.
I listen, I'm an
Mhm.
engineer. I know how things work. So when everything I say, it's with planning from when you incubate it
Mm-hmm.
till when it gets into maturity stage. There is a time frame for that. So you can't wake up one day to say, "Ubenyang koko." You haven't gotten the eggs yet. You don't have the incubators yet. You don't have a facility to have the chickens go through the process of 18 weeks or whatever to be fully uh, 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 to be full adults. So you
Mm.
have to have this whole spectrum. You can't just come up and say, "Oh, I'm going to do this." So what I'm telling you is you show me, because I haven't seen it yet, the things that have been put together in place by the MPP NDC party that points to what we're talking about. I haven't
No,
seen
that's your job. It's for you to tell me whether you've seen it or not.
but I haven't
I'm
seen it.
asking you.
But that's what I'm saying. So what I'm saying
There you
is,
go. Just say that.
because see, for a
Mhm.
government that knows what they're doing and has plans, this is what they should be talking about, not fighting in parliament. That's my
Okay,
point.
I see. And you think 100 days, no, is within
It's
this 100 days?
more
Have
than
you seen
enough.
any
Listen,
steps at
you
all in that
again,
direction?
you don't have to have done so much and everything in 100 days, but you certainly need to have projected the vision. You certainly need to have the mastermind
Mm.
who you have assigned the mission to make sure that the vision becomes a reality.
Okay,
That's what I'm talking about.
I hear you, Kofi. Now let's talk about Galamsey, the big elephant in the room,
Whose
right?
elephant? Your elephant or my elephant? Because to me, it's not
Who
an
knows if it's even an elephant? Could
there
be
you
a
go. It's not.
unicorn. Who knows?
It's not an elephant.
What is
It's
it?
just we don't have leadership.
Well,
So it's a leadership problem.
so it's an elephant in the room. It's
It's not.
obvious.
An elephant means something big that people don't know how to tackle.
And that's
Galamsey.
exactly what I'm going to approach with you.
Uh-huh.
So stick a pin. Let's watch this video from the last time I spoke with you on iCulture TV, and we'll be back to break it down further. Let's move on to another major topic in my arsenal. Kofi, Galamsey is a major issue, major problem for Ghana. What is your plan to deal with that?
All right. So, can you hear me? How well can you hear me?
I can
Am I
hear you
good?
very well. I can hear you clearly.
Excellent. So, see, Galamsey is not a problem. Galamsey, the people who reside over Galamsey is the problem. How is Galamsey a problem? Unless, of course, you don't understand Galamsey.
I do understand Galamsey, and that's why I know it's a problem, because it's a dragon with many tentacles. And so we can't oversimplify it. It is a big problem.
Okay. Okay, so in my book, it's not a problem.
Okay,
and
tell
the
us
reason
why.
It's not a problem is it's that to fix, and let me prove to you why. The people who are in authority, who are involved in Galamsey, they know everybody who is in Galamsey. They know. So it's the government and their corrupt officials who are in Galamsey. I've spoken to people who are the boys who work in the fields, and they have told us that they know who is in Galamsey. They know everybody who is in Galamsey, but they have allowed themselves. We have pastors in there. We have politicians from NDC, politicians from MPP. We have statesmen. We have academia. We have media people in there. So they know. They know. So how does that become a problem? We created it, and if we want to take it out, we take it out. The car will do exactly what you tell it to do. The car will not do more, will not do less. So if you want to stop the car, you hit on the brakes. If you want the car to move faster, you step on the accelerator. So what I'm saying is it's only because they turned a blind eye to Galamsey, that's why it seems they've created this fake hardship, artificial hardship with Galamsey to make you believe what you believe, that it's a really tough thing. What is tough about it?
Okay, Kofi, it doesn't seem like you've moved too far from that spot at all. You're probably more ingrained in that position. But I maintain that Galamsey is a huge problem.
Okay, so
Terrifying problem.
let's demystify it a little bit. Maybe I didn't explain it too well the last time. So
You did. It's just that we just can't play the whole video, but some of the
okay,
other things we will bring.
so let me that for maybe anyone who did not have the opportunity to see that, let me go over a couple of things.
Mm-hmm.
So to be able to involve yourself in Galamsey at the levels that we're seeing, you need to be a sophisticated business person of some sort. And the reason is you need specific machines. Because see, the people who live in the villages where Galamsey is happening or in close proximity to the forest areas where earth is being dug for gold don't have that kind of money to buy the machines that they use in Galamsey.
Mm-hmm.
These machines are in excess of 100,000, 150, 200, and you need maybe a couple of them. Now, if the people who live in the villages had this kind of money, they will not wait for Galamsey. They would have gotten involved in some money many years before, but they didn't. The machines they use in Galamsey comes through a system called Tema ports. Who is in charge at the Tema ports?
Hmm.
Who? The villages or the Ghana government?
Mm-hmm.
So now, Kwesi, when I went to China, you could use a device the size of this phone and you could insert it in any machine that will give you real-time location, GPS system, and whatever it does. A few years back, um, I was in the Uber business, transportation business. We bought a couple of cars and we rented them out through a dispatcher, and our cars had a pod on them. When the driver is driving over the speed limit, I get a report on my computer.
Mm-hmm.
I can literally turn the car off wherever he is in the US. When it gets to a location where I deem it safe, I can go on my computer and turn the car off. You could tell when the car is stopped, when the car is moving, how fast they're going, if they have gas. You could put that same machine on the excavator that tells you how much earth has been dug, where in the forest the machine is.
Kofi,
So
if they're illegal though, how are you going to put it on them in the first place?
okay,
These
good.
are unknown people.
So good. So I'm glad. You see, you asked all the right questions. So let me make it very easy for you. Do you know we can invest less than $10,000 in a drone? In a drone that could cover the whole of Ghana. Goes from, well, it's not the whole of Ghana. So let's just say in the Galamsey prone areas, it can travel in that area to give you pinpoint accuracy locations of any earth moving machine and
So we're talking
communicate,
about the deployment of technology in general in fighting corruption.
communicate
That's what
that
we're talking
to.
about.
I'll give you an example.
Mhm.
I'm in a plane from I'm in a plane at 49,000 feet going from what's the city in Qatar?
Doha.
Doha. Going from Doha to Singapore. 49,000 feet. We're flying over Dubai. All of a sudden, the pilot talks and says, "Oh, we are um, expecting some turbulence ahead of us." So plane lands. I go to the pilot. I'm like, it was pretty amazing how you figured out um, how we're going to go into turbulence ahead of us. You say, "Yeah, it's the magic of phones." I was like, "What do you mean?" He says, "When a plane ahead of our plane goes through turbulence, the pilot could be asleep, but the phone in its stable state detects a shimmer and radios that shimmer to control center
All
on
approaching
Earth,
plane. Mm.
and they in turn transmit that turbulence ahead to all the planes in that flying zone."
Vicinity. Mhm.
We could use a drone to do that same work.
Yes. And I think Thailand also are employing that, right, to protect their
Very good.
forests.
So you can actually heat sink, heat source
Mhm.
people who are moving. You can see their images, their hot images moving in the darkest of forest at night
Mm.
when
So Kofi,
$10,000.
let's move it forward. First of all, a lot more money has been put into drones, and we still don't have that. But anyway, let's not belabor that. But
But you see,
so Kofi, let me ask you. You know, Erastus Asari Donko, right? Do you know him, Erastus?
Mhm,
Okay, now Erastus has been doing some great work, if you ask me.
mhm,
And from some of his work, he's actually been showing some of these images that you are referring to. I saw
mhm,
one particular one on his Facebook where there was a drone shot, and it actually zoomed all the way in
mhm.
to detect excavators and so on at work
Yeah.
and all of that. Now, let's say we've gone through all of that. We've acquired these equipment.
Mhm.
What do we do with it? Because right now, as we speak, from very reliable sources, there are militants from neighboring countries in our forests.
Okay. So
Belief is that they're being sponsored by some of these people who do
ah,
not want to leave.
okay. So you see, but this is where I want you to understand that it's a cartel. This is
Mhm.
organized criminal organizations. This
Yes.
is not the average Joe from Inyaduam
Mhm.
doing
We
Galamsey.
agree on that.
It's an organized
We
crime. So,
agree on that, except that they have collaborators from these places. Because sometimes too little means a whole lot for these people. Our people, I'm sorry,
well, of
right?
course, they don't have food to eat because you have
Yes, exactly. If you put a man in a situation
employment.
like that, everything is like, right? Because for the chief who's always looked down upon when he goes to a bedroom, and then all of a sudden he's offered a Land Cruiser to drive around and new palace and all that, it's tempting. But let's
Of
let's let's
course,
look at
it's tempting. So why don't you do it my way? That's why I propose that for all the chiefs, we're going to put them on a payroll, and the income is going to come from the lands that we take over that we're going to use for agriculture. So we take over your land, we use it for agriculture, we pay you a dividend from the returns.
Mm,
No. What's the for?
I think you face a lot of resistance from the chiefs with something like that. But
We
anyway,
won't face. Okay, so Listen, you see the problem is the weakness of leadership because you will say, Kofi, you face a lot of resistance. I'm not going to face a lot of resistance because when you are chief and you go negotiate with any Chinese or anybody else for that matter, and they come dig our land and you are caught, the consequences will be so dire. It will send a message and it will spiral, and everybody will know that.
That's where I thought you were going to go with that. Let me ask you: would you endorse a
That's
shoot?
gonna come. You see, I'm giving you an easy way out, which is with technology we could fix this thing.
Yes.
So what my point is to you is, if you thought Galamsey was something that the local boys and girls were doing, then we will use a drone system and we will send a signal to control center to go to this grid and pick these people up. And
Okay.
once you
So,
pick them
Kofi,
up,
in a scenario like that, you've used the drones, you've picked up intelligence, you've gone in the place. We have heavily armed men, according to reports, some of who don't speak our language or whatnot, in this forest, facing you with heavy resistance, heavy arms.
they can't
See,
do.
my former, let me call him that, former Eastern Regional Minister, Seta Champon. He went into when Akufo-Addo's government was in power, he went to one of these places. He came out shaking. He made a statement there. I wish he had backed it up. But he said something to the effect, say, it's scary. Now, Erasmus Asaredonko has also showed us images of something like that. Adena ye face, are much bigger than we are.
And yeah, no credit. And yeah, no credit. Listen to me. Listen to me. Listen to me. It's all made up.
What's made up?
It's part of the scheme, too. If I make it seem as if, oh my gosh, there is a devil out there who's bigger than me, then obviously it becomes excusable not for me to take them down, correct?
Yes,
Now,
but it doesn't apply in this case, if you ask me.
Oh, kwesi adena would me tikrom ha. Wona would you mention here? One more mutu Galamsey na.
Now, what's America? No, I don't think you know any less from Ghana. I think you had your own way of staying on top of of issues.
But you, the American,
I think it's
me information I mean yes say ni say Galamsey na ya west.
It is. I don't hear discussing.
And when me patch say to AK-47 a saying the average obia ote ne storefront ni kiosk nim ni container nim oni score de koto AK-47. Oni score de koto Uzi, oni score de koto grenade nom ni we
action or anything like that.
Iti nkrofo na ye mpanyimfo no na nsen ya container ba ya na ammunition wo mu seize ye he na fire. So iti de me kan say na me no nti krom ya na 1,300 containers ayira no. So 1,300 containers to me vaporize our port. That alone should tell you say we're dealing with something woman creative situation.
But until person say you don't believe there are armed militants in the forest?
And America say armed militants, no matter how armed they are, no one as armed as ye militants.
Because all along that's where I think your head is at.
And
you said so in the last interview.
But see, the American children say crown the Mema Betias and say, and who here crassy a dear military beko.
Really?
Because ye nimun crofo mo ya dear no. Kwasi,
pick them up, right? Pick up the big boys.
Menona Yam say, let's just say, Kwasi, wo, Menoteha. Minim say, wo, what to be wash. Minim say, wo, ye Galamsey. So, na Galamsey ne cause so havoc, was you be so. Na me pesa ye stop here. Why do I have to go and attack in Crofona? What to you near ye machine gun some more moves? Why don't I just come to you and say, Kwasi, Agrono, I say, Jai. And Jai, because who you minister? Yes, why can't I have that conversation with you?
Or just pick you up. Why do I even have to have a conversation with you when you're
and I make so much time? Because who buy me hon obey permission now, because I know you defeat the party, no. Dear me can't I say, I woman anymore here. Containers
both NDC and NPP.
Oh, massa. Concert people, in few woman name. You containers here. Did you hear what Afenyo Malkin said? ma yɛntena parliament nyɛ yɛn ho sɛ yɛnnim deɛ ɛkɔ so na yɛn na yɛnnim deɛ ɛkɔ so. They know. They know.
Well, the minister has promised to bring a closure on the matter. And I'm relying more on that than Yenim Diakoso.
Me say, so de beba sɛ ɔmfa mma. Deɛ meka ne sɛ, wɔn bɛtafretafre ho ara na wɔn neutralize adeɛ.
Minister ne say he has made a promise to the people of Ghana. Say he will, and the president. It's in a no, right? My approach ni say.
I'm going to bet you 10 cities on that. I now to make call Gov't. We need their friend of Gov't.
Minim Gov't pa. Make it 100 cities and I'll take you up on that bet.
And yet, red.
And again, 10 cities Gov't. The essence will be out.
And yet, red, oh, Mister. And yet, red. And yet, can you know cast red, na Gov't. They say red, no, Jaika.
I Matase. Me who be there? Who can they say Gov't?
Gov't line. Into 10 cities. Me beans and kwa metos. They say me beans and kwa 20 cities. Beans and kwa. I don't cry. Otiama me no bumenichi. Hey, mama no. Just say
the whole Bogart is oh, Kofi. And now you put the chair over Gov't there. That is a yeah.
I said me a local. Me call now. Otumi serve you be na me gina ho so person punish me say my ba me nye din na ho na ja me so eno anam de hwe me how far.
Ya o todi sir.
Me din na me gina ho. Inti listen, inti what we want to communicate to Ghana for now and say enye se galamsey no na ye bibia ye ntumi stop you. Minuati. So then you can understand. Last year Ghana nkoa no sika ekofa Minerals Commission from Galamsey na about $10 billion. $10 billion. Sika ene up in Abu Dhabi ne Dubai nom ne year ene na na munchen. Wuntumi nom sika aye eno no na no Galamsey foni na no was about 20 billion. Inti if that I suspect say be more. But the infant said 30 billion or more lifted from Ghana gold. Zero value add. Zero value add. Into the infant said, yeah, added value times 10. May cost Singapore a kilo to say this size. Kilo of gold. Yes, $66,000. $66,000. Zero value add. Inti yamfan say sikeni na sa tonnage of gold no it costed 30 billion. Yeah, added value times 10. Are you saying? Tell me.
3 times 10.
No. 30 billion.
30 billion times 10. 300 billion.
What can't 300 billion do? Catch me. We could build
Kofi,
all the
factor in as we wrap up no, what factor in the global economy also say 30 billion now calculate and then you know back to Ghana. Of course there are other players in the at the table. I almost so players the same.
Other than your players. Dear players now can. What do you mean your players?
Speaking of which, Mamin Bissau, and I would have really hated myself if I didn't ask you this. Former Chief Justice Georgina Wood. No, not Georgina Wood. Ado.
Akufo.
Yes, Akufo, my friend Ado instead. Madam Akufo say we should renegotiate our mining terms. No, what do you think about that?
Me can't dear what my dream. I mean to me can't.
I didn't try.
Anka nyoma bedane pa ye kono Burkina Faso we. Because to Minia. Okay, let me ask you this because I want you to get what deal ben alfusanke be good for Ghana. Well, you fancy gold deal ben in terms of percentage.
I would go with at least also because we're coming from a precedent, right? We cannot bury our heads in the sand. Yeah, but from Babia, you won't for a then a diamondsem.
But they can't catch
negotiation. Make answer. Because if you look at Magafuli's model, for instance, it makes a lot of sense to me. Ghana as a nation, no, should have shares in every single mining
See,
corporation.
how much do you think the distribution should be?
60-40. But again, that's
60,
not realistic.
60 yen
60
40.
for Ghana, 40 for investors.
I didn't.
Because people are investing their money, they want profit back.
Okay,
I mean-
who controls investment?
Government.
See, why are you giving somebody 40?
Because they're investing, Kofi. Same as Ghanaians invest somewhere and they also make money back. Sam Jonah has real estate in Nigeria. He's making money from there. He's taxed.
No, but I know no state owned.
No, you can't status. I say investors.
But go and say Ghana.
Country be investing in mining in Ghana.
Then I say
There are corporations that do that.
What
Isn't it?
investment of 40% that? Hey, I call it 40%. What in here? What percent we invest in Ghana gold? Kwa stock market na koto. And yeah, you gold na we pay 40% free. For the way.
No, Kofi, I think it's two different things here, Anna. Because you're talking about mining the gold.
What's it mining? Now maybe I'll say split no should be
By
there.
the way, let me put it on paper. Say I'm putting it on record. Say me personally, I am not in favor of mining. Like I mean, let's even leave the resources in the ground.
Very
but for some reason, it looks like we need the money to develop the
now you're speaking my language.
No. I mean,
that's
my utopian dream.
Okay, that bill. There may kind of say if we have to mine, then a judge would decision say as I say 60-40. I know I may say me.
And I make sure I will say, you were less than 10%.
Into 40 60. You're good. Is
so
that
to
your
go from 40? Oh, Kofi. I say sometimes some of the ideas you have are radical. They are very sensible and everything. But are they realistic? Because we are okra 60 or okra almost 90% now. To move from there to accept 40%
Listen to my question. My question is then a judge would decision. So what to me justify?
They judge me decision, yeah. They judge me decision, yeah. And I think, say, as a people, we should always use strategy. Now look at Magafuli's model like that I was referring to now. He started by saying, say, the government or the state will have shares in every single mining company. And the mining company, the government will 10% across board. First of all, you can't royalties as them. Okay. Now, even with that, look at the railway system that they were able to put in Tanzania. And if you start from there, right? I'll be radical. So, and I said 60-40 because you pushed me to it. Otherwise, it's not even realistic.
No, any realistic saying.
Any realistic say.
Any realistic saying.
Kofi.
No. Because we
have to do a part 2 of it.
Walk a restaurant. Walk order jollof. Yeah, charge you 50 cedis for jollof. 50 cedis now air for jollof no. Who chia chef neka. Chef no. Your own restaurant no. Who chia 50 cedis to them. But chef no work kitchen no. Enya 30 cedis. Now we would be now jollof a year worth 5 cedis. Now 15 cedis no goes to your own your friends say restaurant no. Now me bisa say, what do you think it would be fair? Now say I have to be realistic. Say chef no as a so nyane de na restaurant owner no so nyane de. Now me bisa say, what is guiding your judgment for sa analysis? Won't you mean convincing me? Because okay, so now
my only thing is, and I noticed that we've swapped places, but I'm happy to answer the question for you, Kofi. My thing is this. First of all, when you are quoting these figures, now do you consider geopolitical factors? Do you consider? No, you can't screw geopolitical because Kofi, hold on. Gold now, catch him say $60,000. No, yes.
And yet your person better.
That's why you have to consider geopolitics and geoeconomics.
Debbie.
Yes.
You are wrong and everybody else is wrong. Muntie make any China, China say yeah, Kotobi be wa. Who feel this or no China no or consider geopolitics and I say or consider the bottom line.
Considers geopolitics.
No.
The United States considers geopolitics.
No.
Everybody does that, Kofi. And
Oh,
here's the difference. Here's the difference. But here's the difference. Unlike China, right? And it's a much bigger discussion that we can have. But I'm trying to be pragmatic. Says
Master,
about
there's
4
no
years to be president.
there's no pragmatism in this one, and let me prove to you the entire part. Maybe when we gold, say me to me now the competencies.
Gold that other countries produce, remember.
So what? And yeah,
So they can buy from other countries.
So let them buy from other countries. And then my first point. Number one, and who here says here to gold, we could do a whole lot better
without the gold. The gold is in the ground.
Of course.
And then we have leverage money.
And not just say nyansa no mpanyimfo no nyansa na kakakra. That's where I stand with that, because you hear gold. Because gold now ukra wutu a wode say wasase ni wunsuo no. Ukra no wunya bi. They make out here say.
I'm right there with you.
Okay,
I'm right there with you.
And then number one. Number two, Broni na wo man of 40% no. Any expertise, the equipment, any know-how, no they babe too gold no. Okay, and then I won't forward with nipa enya sa anyoma na won't keep 100%.
It's not practical.
Oh my gosh.
It's not practical.
Just would you wouldn't even nyansa practical.
It's just the way the system is set up. Kofi, to do that, no, we need a whole renaissance. We need African unity, so we can form a bloc to do that. If you are going to do that, ask Ghana.
Masa T.
Since it sounds more like you know.
Masa, you see, anyway, maybe a different. Since 1950, ye who nyansa who says ye renaissance. Ne ya to me 2 year gold, ne ye smelter, ne ye bibia, ye added value. Yama broni me no 95%, no my 5%.
Come on. I know there until American, me know we are drain. Except that I think so we have to be a little more.
Maybe because see, my position is simple. My position is simple. Bibia broni to me ye. Now to me the GB be free and hono. Ye besua ye ni for yourself. Period.
Me know we are doing Kofi, and that's to wrap up.
But this is why my whole leadership structure no different from Ghana force. Because
I agree with you.
I'm not coming to share the pie with anybody. Ghana for dia Ghana for necessary deal there. Say Ghana for we have the competencies all over the world. And then you assemble your competencies.
Realistically speaking, omo boto gold no. Omo ankasa nso so ena omo ye in charge of Sanoman. Say if you have a policy like that, what you might end up with, they will boycott your product. And like you said, we'll let the gold stay in the ground.
Masa,
right? But
first of all, first and that's because we were trading with the West. They say, Obia to me a partner. We have to look out for what is best for Ghana.
You have a good point there. Yeah. Kofi, Brennason, as we go, all put together, as we approach 100 days of the John Mahama administration how would you rate them out of 10? And then why would you rate them thus as we wrap up?
I give them a 3.
3 over 10?
Oh, of course. I give them a 3 because I don't think that they're on a path to making change in Ghana. For what has happened in the last couple of months and how they have handled the things that we have seen and how they have projected their vision, I don't think there's going to be much of a change to what we saw in the last NDC government.
I see. And what is that 3 that you gave them? What does that 3 represent? What have they done that impresses you a little bit, even if?
Well, they've been able to take care of e-levy and their friends saying betting tax, I think COVID tax, and I think Mahama is for Mitch Miyaka without a doubt say Mahama is somebody I think that I like his optimism. He's a cordial, warm gentleman, but that does not translate to leadership, and certainly not the type of leadership that we need in Ghana. We need somebody who's ruthless. who has a total different paradigm to the things that needs to be done. Mahama is a very nice person. I like Mahama. I really like him. I think he's a great man. But for the times that's facing Ghana and the world right now, we need a leader who's totally different from Mahama. I don't think he has what it takes to take us to the promised land.
In terms of ruthlessness, or in
In
terms of
terms of, listen,
practical ideas that move a nation forward?
a couple of things, and my and this is what I talk about when I talk about the three things with leadership that our leader, our next leader, has to have. Number one, you have to have the intellectual ability to process information, to functional thinking and right thinking. Number one. Number two, you have to be able to be decisive in something that you make. You can't wishy washy. It's got to be, when you say A, it's got to be A, and you got to pull through all the way to the end. And number three, you have to have the humility to understand that you don't know it all. And to do this, to your job as a leader is to come up with a vision, but to assemble the mastermind who activates the mission to get to the vision. You need to put together a team of people who are competent in a diverse of areas, and they're going to be the mastermind who do the master class to come up with the master key. The master key's job is to create systems so we can have a leadership of excellence. That, number one, with the systems, you go from, once you establish the systems, you go into structures, and then to standards. The standards becomes the model of success for the country. And with a model of success, you design what we call the standard of excellence. So for a standard of excellence, will promote excellence and competencies and everything that's good, complexities.
I hear you, Kofi.
And the standard of excellence will also punish, heavily punish, people who step out of line and steal and is involved in corruption and they don't do the right things. So that these standards will be set, and from that you develop what we call a functional government system that everybody knows how and what to expect. That has not happened. Until that happens, Ghana will be a joke.
All right.
We'll see chaos being run in these three uh, uh, um, uh, corridors of government.
All right, Kofi.
In the long run, nothing. We're gonna end up to maybe further back from where we started, which has been our trajectory.
Thank you very much, Kofi. I really don't think we've exhausted everything, but for time. So I think so we'll set up an interview, pick it up from where we're leaving off, because there's some key questions that I still need your input on. But for today, Medawasi Pa for doing us the honors and for your expert insight on the matter and everything. Kofi Koranteng, 2024 presidential candidate, still very active politically. Thank you very much. Before we go, Kofi, me who recently I was social media now who hold the event be and
Say events in the DBI, but yeah,
nah.
yeah. I mean, we still believe in what we believe in. I think that the youth in Ghana has been dispositioned, and youth in a penny bit to me. Sorry, I can say enough is enough, because there's no way with what's going on that the youth are going to be able to hit their aspirations. It's not going to happen. We're so far behind. And the next time we talk, we're going to bring a little bit of this geopolitics into the arena so we can get a real perspective of why
Very important.
we are in a dire situation, that we need a totally different paradigm in leadership to take us, or to at least give us a chance to, because listen, every 3 years represents 100 years. 3 years. They say we're behind a couple of 100 years. We're not
We'll
going to
look more into that.
have this type of leadership.
We will look more into that on our next interview, Kofi. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you. Thank you so
All the
much.
best, sir, in your exploits. Appreciate your time. All right. We will be right back after the short break.